Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up on The Breakdown. A black truck driver says he was in the right place at the right time. This comes after a young black woman escapes her kidnapper. We'll tell you what all went down on the back roads in North Carolina. And the USDA abruptly terminated dozens of grants designed to help underserved farmers access land, capital, and markets. We'll discuss how black farmers in West Virginia are responding and building solutions despite those setbacks. And one organization is showing exactly what they can do, young girls, what they can do with their lives. We will talk with the founder of Black Girls Can Incorporated. The Breakdown starts right now. We start with a breakdown of the headlines and stories that you need to know about from across Black America. In Texas, when Karmelo Anthony looks at the 12 people who will have his life in their hands, he will not see anyone who looks like him. The prosecution dismissed every black potential juror. Anthony's lawyer, Mike Howard, objected to the last 3 strikes of potential jurors on Wednesday, claiming that the dismissals were racially motivated. However, prosecutors argued that their decisions were not based on race, but rather on the fact that all 3 jurors were teachers. The specifics of who is serving on the jury have not been released. 12 jurors and 6 alternates were chosen from 589 prospective jurors, and the jury began hearing opening statements this morning. Karmelo, a black teen, is facing a life sentence for fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf at a Frisco track meet in 2025. Karmelo says he was only defending himself from Metcalf. It was also confirmed that the jury will not be sequestered. Jurors will return home each day rather than being isolated during the duration of the trial. Roland will have more on this case tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern here on the Black Star Network. An award-winning Dallas principal in Texas who lost her job after reprimanding her students for poor grades is now leading another high school in the district. Chandra Hooper Barnett was removed as a principal at Woodrow Wilson High School last fall after she held a meeting with the school's 130 students in order to discuss her disappointment with their collective academic performance. Hooper Barnett, who is black herself, said she never intended any harm or offense. Now Hooper Barnett has been appointed to lead Lincoln High School, a magnet school in southern Dallas.
Aiken County 911.
Hey, we got a girl over here running for her life.
So I believe God held me up with those preceding things to be at that appointed place at that time with that dash cam.
Well, police say a black woman in North Carolina was kidnapped by a white man who posed as a law enforcement officer. It began when a truck driver named Anthony Moore saw a woman run into traffic, begging and pleading for help around 7 a.m. last Friday. Next, a 39-year-old man named Jonathan Willard approached the truck claiming to be a police officer. The woman leaped into the truck and told Moore that she had been approached by Willard earlier in the day, handcuffed and placed in the back seat of his car. She said that when Willard later stopped to grab something from his truck, she managed to escape his vehicle and run away. Moore and another driver who stopped to help then called police. And now he's speaking out about this horrific incident.
And say, law enforcement showed me, he didn't show me the badge, he just held it up, just held it up sideways. And he said, I'm with law enforcement, and she just jumped out of my car. She said, no, I didn't. You trying to kidnap me.
That man trying to run her over? Trying to run her over when I came up. Right now. I'm on the phone with the cops now. Yeah, the handcuffs on her. He can't be legit because... Hell no, he's in a damn white Cadillac, right? You want to come sit on this little hill right here? You need to sit down. I'm afraid you're going to pass out. I wish I had a way to get these damn things off of you.
Can she remember what he was
wearing?
Oh,
I got him. I got the handcuffs off.
And I said, do you have a phone? And can we call somebody other than 911? And they sending the cops and the rescue squad. She said, he has my phone and my diploma. I said, your diploma? She said, yes, I just graduated yesterday. And she was just frantic. She wasn't talking like I'm talking to you now. He said that car came out of some kind of apartments on the road where she was walking. And he ran up to her and said, I'm with the cops. and I got to take you in, handcuffed and threw in the back seat. I said, well, I said, where was this? She said, way on North Aiken side. I said, and he brought you way out here? She said, yeah, and he pulled in that road, and she said, he left his door open, and when he was fumbling around in the trunk, and that's when I jumped out of the car and ran out in the highway, and that's when I saw him.
Now, Willard was later arrested and charged with impersonating a law enforcement officer and kidnapping. Well, black district attorneys in Georgia are working to block House Bill 369, a measure signed into law last month by Governor Brian Kemp that shifts some elected positions in the state from partisan to nonpartisan races. Under the provision, races such as district attorney, county commission, tax commissioner would be held on a nonpartisan ballot in Clayton, Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties. During a news conference on Wednesday, DeKalb District Attorney Sharon Boston announced that she had filed a lawsuit in hopes of blocking the law. She and other black district attorneys say the measure unfairly singles out Democratic-leaning communities with large black populations. The state now has 30 days to respond to this lawsuit. And the House of Representatives approved a war times resolution Wednesday defying President Trump and ordering a halt to U.S. military action against Iran. The measure saw a handful of House Republicans join with Democrats to vote in favor of ending the 3-month-long conflict that has reordered politics at home and abroad. House Speaker Mike Johnson had tried to prevent an outcome that would show the mounting opposition to the war, abruptly shutting down floor action 2 weeks ago when the resolution was on the verge of approval. But displeasure has only grown as the conflict drags on and as Trump struggles to negotiate a plan for peace. The next steps are uncertain, and Trump is likely to reject any measure from Congress to limit his commander-in-chief authority. Well, a new analysis shows millions of Americans could face significant Social Security benefit cuts if the program's trust fund is depleted and Congress fails to act in the next few years. The millions of Americans who rely on Social Security could see their monthly benefit checks slashed by an average of about $500 if the program's retirement trust fund becomes insolvent. That's a scenario currently projected for the end of 2032. The reduction would amount to a 24% cut in the typical benefit payment, according to a new analysis from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, a fiscal policy think tank. According to National Committee Preserve Social Security Medicare, 35% of Black elderly married couples and 58% of unmarried elderly persons rely on Social Security for 90% or more of their income. Social Security's trust fund helps cover the gap between the program's income and benefit obligations, which have outpaced revenues as the baby boom generation retires and the number of beneficiaries grows. Once the fund is depleted, benefits would be automatically reduced unless Congress acts to shore up the program's finances. We'll certainly keep you posted. Well, coming up today on The Breakdown, a major federal funding program has been cut. Black farmers are finding new ways now to grow, connect, and sustain their communities. That conversation with Shamir Davis is coming up next. And for more news headlines and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day, please visit the Black Star Network. We want to be your source for stories that matter to our community. We'll be right back.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Black farmers are facing a new challenge after the USDA suddenly terminated 49 of 50 grants under its Increasing Land Capital and Market Access Program. The cuts have raised concerns about the future of support for underserved farmers across the country. But at the same time, Black farmers in Central West Virginia are building networks of support. A recent article published by Black by God highlights those efforts and the people leading them. Joining us now, Shamir Davis, Agriculture Fellow for Black by God and Urban Land Steward. We want to thank you for joining us on the breakdown today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Brittany. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what was your response when you realized that the USDA recently terminated 49 of 50 grants under its Increasing Land Capital and Market Access Program?
I feel like, given the climate, we knew that these kind of cuts were coming down the pipeline. And these cuts were direct impacts to our ecosystem. The Black by God, the platform in which you read the article, was directly impacted. That impacted my agricultural fellowship. Farmers like Jason Tart in our area lost funding, and even Mere Mays Meadow, my local urban farm, also was depending on grants from that funding to help expand our infrastructure. So while we kind of anticipated that some of these cuts would impact with the DEI line of firing, they definitely hurt.
Tell us a little bit more about your own farm.
So my farm, Mere Mays Meadow, is located in the neighborhood that I grew up in as a child. My journey actually started in healthcare as a nurse, and I recognized that healthcare starts with what we put in our bodies. So it originally was just a way for me to feed my family food that I knew was healthy and where it came from, but it grew into something so much bigger. This urban lot now serves as a localized center for education around food and community network building. My husband and my family have been helping me transform this urban lot into something that the community can utilize in building something sustainable around food.
And that is absolutely beautiful. Tell us about how the loss of this funding impacts Black farmers just as yourself.
Well, like I stated, not having the funding that we anticipated through some of these grants and infrastructure, it's just making us have to look for other ways. And historically, that's not something that Black and brown farmers are not used to. We've been doing this since the beginning of our time here. And when we look at the ways that groups like the Appalachian Food Network work together, we pull our resources, we share tools, education with each other. We just lean on our connections so that we can build something that isn't dependent on an outside source that was never really built for us to begin with. We pull our resources.
Tell us a little bit more about this community collaboration and how it fills in the gaps when access to funding and resources becomes so limited.
Well, let's just take, for instance, I'll give you a personal story. I'm right now working on building a water system at my urban farm so that we can sustain these crops. And some of the funding that I was anticipating would have helped me structure or build this system. But without that, we had to look for other ways. So one of my mentors and friends, Jason Tart, who has a 300-acre farm down in McDowell County, invited me to come down and not only learn how to use a sawmill to cut my own wood for this for this infrastructure that I needed, but he showed me I was able to learn how to use a sawmill. I was able to cut my own wood, and I was able to take that back with me to my urban farm so that I can build this water reclamation system on my property. So what we're doing is just leaning into each other. We all have a piece of the puzzle. It's just figuring out how we put those pieces together.
I love that. And I was also reading about how someone gifted you with some garlic that you were able to share.
Oh, absolutely. 5 pounds of garlic turned into 260 cloves. One of a very avid gardener and master gardener friend of mine, Stacey K, she granted me 5 pounds of garlic, which is just like a bag. I planted all of those cloves last October, and they have now turned into 260 individual bulbs of garlic that we can distribute in our community. And they'll know that it's locally grown, free of pesticides, and it's something that's healthy for them, and it feeds back into their own community.
How can something as simple as garlic really be life-changing? I mean, beyond growing food, you're helping educate people about how to prepare fresh produce and expand their food choices.
Oh, absolutely. It's an effort to change our relationship with food. The Black culture has a very intense relationship with food, and we have an intense relationship with agriculture over time that has been perverted in certain ways, and we've distanced ourselves from it. But the idea behind the meadow is to bring that connection back together so that our relationship with food is a healthier one, so that we can participate in the process from the beginning, so that we can expand our knowledge around food and around the variety of things that we're eating, and so that we can reconnect with the land. Our connection to the land and to agriculture is ours. It's very powerful, and Muir Mays Meadow brings that opportunity to the urban setting.
Tell us more about the Afro-Lation Food Network that's been created. Who are the people involved in the organizations, and what makes it work?
Well, the organization in of itself is really very loosely formed. We are really just dependent on our relationships with each other. We just wanted to give it a name so that we could call ourselves something. But it's local farmers, producers, artisans, value-added producers, chefs. It's anybody who's involved in the food systems in our area, and really Black and brown culturally. And we just work together. We sometimes it's as simple as just being able to conversate, bounce ideas off of each other, or to share, oh, there's this opportunity here. And sometimes it's something greater, like come on down to my farm and I'll show you how to use a sawmill, or I'll loan you some chickens so that you can get started. But we just depend on each other in a very sustainable way.
To folks that are watching at home, why is it so important that we grow our own food?
Oh, well, if you've seen any of the things that have happened in our recent history when it comes to large storms or when it comes to pandemics, what happens to a grocery store happens very quickly, and you can see empty shelves in an instant. So that's one reason that you need to participate in growing some of your own food. Another reason is that a lot of the things that they are providing to us are filled, that are supposed to be healthy, are still filled with chemicals or things that we shouldn't be putting in our body. So we need to have more education behind what are the things that are healthy for us, and how do we present or grow some of that ourselves. It's very important. Independence. Food is freedom. If you control your food, then you control your freedom.
Oh, that's good. For people watching today and want to support you and other Black farmers, what action should they take right now?
Well, right now you can visit my link tree at Search Muir May, and there I have ways that you can volunteer, you can donate, you can connect with us on all of our media platforms. You can see my articles in Black by God, or you can connect with the Afro-Lation Food Network. There are many of ways that you can help. You can find products, ways that you can order products there as well, and where you can find them. So just tap in and connect with us. Let's grow together.
You know, as you look ahead, what gives you hope about the future of Black agriculture despite the funding challenges?
What I'm seeing feels like a coming home of sorts. I'm really seeing a lot more people interested in how they can participate in growing their own food, or how they can participate in a system, even if it's not them necessarily growing it. And I'm seeing that all over the place, not just in Appalachia. So that's very exciting for me to know that I feel like what they intended for our harm is definitely going to be for our good, because we're just going to build together the way that we always have.
All right, Shamir Davis, thank you for joining us, telling us more about Mere Mays Meadow, and we appreciate your writing for Black by God. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Thank you for having me, Brittany.
You're welcome. Well, after the break, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, a legal fight over federal funding is putting Black farmers and agricultural organizations in the spotlight. We'll show you Roland's conversation on what's at stake and why it matters. Stay with us.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory, attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Hi, I'm Swain Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
Well, in our Black and Missing segment, we're asking for your help finding Mario Douglas. He's been missing since November 24th of 2022, last seen with his brother in Waterford Park area. That's in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. November 24th, again, 2022. They went separate ways, but Mario's brother returned to their home in New Albany, Indiana, and Mario hasn't been seen since. His family fears for his safety. If you know anything, please contact the Louisville Metro Police Department at 502-574-5673. Listed on Roland Martin Unfiltered, farming organizations filed a lawsuit against the USDA. They're seeking a judge to overturn determinations and require the USDA to restore the grants allocated to them. Roland talks with Sharon Mallory, the executive director of the 2020 Farmers Cooperative, about the lawsuit.
Where farming organizations have filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump's Department of Agriculture to seek the reinstatement of a $127 million program, or $127 million in grants. They say that the cancellation of those grants violated due process. They are seeking a judge to overturn the terminations and require the USDA to restore these grants. Sharon Mallory is the executive director of the 2020 Farmers Cooperative. Sharon, glad to have you here. So walk us through how many different entities are involved in this lawsuit, and these grants that you're suing about, what exactly were those grants for?
Well, that's a good question, Roland. There's approximately, I would say, as of May 13th, there were approximately 23 organizations across the country that were affected, or at least moved forward with the lawsuits against the USDA. All in all, there were 49 organizations who just had their grant funding slashed and tossed out. There were a total of 50 awards, but one award was able to move forward and had a stay on their previous lawsuit because they were part of the first, what I would call a slashing of the USDA's discriminatory practices. But even though the funding has been cut, at least as far as the 2020 Farmers Co-op, we felt it was extremely important to move forward with a collective voice. Especially representing small-scale farmers, black, brown, white, green, whatever. Moving forward with this type of lawsuit, our board contemplated, because as you know, or may not know, with the USDA, there are several organizations or entities within the USDA, and a lot of organizations didn't necessarily want to move forward in fear of backlash or a decrease in funding or inability to apply for additional federal funding. Our board supported the position of we need to be a voice, a collective voice, along with other organizations to move forward to try to appeal this thing and maybe recapture the funding that was taken away.
And we've seen other federal judges rule in several other different cases. So it's not like this is outside of the realm. The reality is this anti-black administration, they canceled many grants just because it had the word black in it. They didn't care about who it helped. Yet Donald Trump, he had all these white farmers at the White House saying, I'm standing up for you, and wouldn't even invite John Boyd with the National Black Farmers Association there as well. And so people need to understand the battle that black farmers have been facing it has been consistent, not just with this administration, previous ones as well, but this administration absolutely has been slashing and burning anything that helps black people.
Right, Martin, I think you're absolutely correct. The one thing that I like to stand on, and I'll quote the artist Beyonce, when it comes to farmers that have been tending the land, especially generationally, you can't break our soul. And so what we have to do, and what we're going to try to do with the 2020 Farmers Co-op, is to continue to move forward as we always have been. There's been such a disinvestment in black farms across the country over the years. So a systemic type ill that was kind of right-siding itself a little bit. But because the funding was cut, that doesn't mean our mission is cut. We're still going to strive to help small business become, small farming business to become viable and economically viable as well. And so we're going to push through this as we have for years and years and years. We're going to try to create things that will assist small farmers in the communities that were impacted by this. You know, it's not just cutting these grants. It's more of a macro type situation with this, Roland, and we have to stay focused and not be distracted by the noise around the USDA and what they are blatantly doing. And you almost have to ask the question, if it's not us, then who? And so when it comes to food, there's one thing we know for sure is that most folk don't want to go too long without eating. And when you pull the carpet away from small scale farmers across the country, that has a significant nationwide impact, not only for black farmers, but all small scale farmers. And we're moving into a crisis if these funds aren't restored And organizations like the 2020 Farmers Co-op are not able to go out and assist small scale farmers in becoming economically viable and assisting them into markets. You know, this particular program, the Land Access and Capital Markets Grant, was really trying to help small scale farmers penetrate and scale up into markets that have basically been excluded from for a lot of different reasons. So this was a really significant type of grant that was very creative, very forward thinking, and for it to be terminated not only affected small scale organizations, it's going to have an impact, we believe, in a very broad aspect, which is one of the reasons we decided to move forward collectively with a lawsuit.
All right, then. We'll certainly keep us abreast of what happens next with the lawsuit. I'm going to go to my panel and allow them an opportunity to ask you a question. Zachary, you first.
Thank you so much. Mallory, please, Miss Mallory, I want to really emphasize to people out there that when Black farmers lose money, lose funding, lose resources, white businesses suffer too. So I want you to be able to just, if you can give us, or want to ask you, what are the ripple effects that will hurt the American economy across the board in our farming communities that they're going to suffer from this?
Yeah, I think it's a compounding effect here. And when you affect small scale farmers, and I'll use beef as an example. Okay, there are a lot of small scale ranchers that provide a lot of local beef to our markets. Right now, when you look at the beef market, you go to the grocery store for ground beef, you're paying $6 to $10 a pound for ground beef. That's only going to be escalated by not providing resources that small scale farmers can become more efficient. They can have better genetics. They can be able to create herds and things of that nature. So we're anticipating that the USDA will try to mitigate this in some fashion and provide incentive. The USDA has always provided incentive to small scale farmers. It was just not small scale farmers of color. And so that is one of the impactful things that really has an impact. And so what we want to do as a 2020 Farmers Co-op is position our small scale farmers so that they are ready and can compete in this market, because that's what the grant was about. Whether the funding is not, definitely we want the funding back, but it is quite significant. And if I had to encourage individuals, if you're thinking about how to support small scale farmers, first thing I'm going to say is change the behavior, and then support your small scale farmers by buying local and buying fresh.
Robert.
Thank you so much for everything that you are doing and the information you provided. When I was executive director of the Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project in Atlanta, I ran Reverend Jackson's Black Farmers Initiative, particularly during the time when Secretary Vilsack and the Biden administration were working on getting additional support and economic support for Black farmers that have really been ripped away by the current administration through lawsuits by Stephen Miller, et cetera. Could you talk briefly about kind of the triple pandemic, if it would be, that has hit Black farmers during this administration, between the tariffs onto the restrictions, the new rules that favor the agribusinesses? Can you just really give people an idea of what the true conditions are for Black farmers right now?
Well, I know you've heard the saying, if some folk catch a cold, blacks catch the flu. And that's exactly what we have here. So just to give you a nutshell on this whole agricultural industry and how it has changed over the years, back in the 80s, it was a switch from supporting small scale farmers to go big or go home. Therefore, you had a lot of industrial type agricultural entities to emerge themselves. And so over the years, what has happened is that big industrial farmers have bought up land, bought small scale farmers out, and really moved along. So fast forward to 2026, 2025, you get an administration that comes in and starts placing tariffs upon that, slashing USDA programs that a lot of small to mid-sized scale farmers were contributing into. I just got back from Arkansas, And one of the things they were telling me, there's a Black-owned rice mill there. And one of the things they were telling me with the slashing of the USAID, it had a significant impact because they provided a lot of rice and byproducts through the USAID program. And by completely slashing that program out, it was devastating, or is devastating, to that small Black-owned rice mill. And so we have to be very conscious in communities about the impact of this. And so by slashing these type of grants, putting tariffs on things, it's not only hurting the small scale farmers, it's hurting the large farmers, the mid-sized farmers, and of course the small scale farmer right now is really catching the flu. And we've got to do something. We've got to have the right medicine, the right mindset, be very focused on moving forward, being very focused on getting our message out, being present and being seen. But behind being present and being seen, we have to be very proactive in putting strategies together to recreate systems where small scale farmers can partake in those systems. And to me, that really means addressing the issues that many communities, especially dense communities, have. That is addressing this thing called food insecurities. Small scale farmers can be a solution to that, whether you're rural or urban, in providing produce and proteins to these communities. So we have to recreate a system where small scale farmers are invited to be included into the system and not excluded from the system.
All right, Sharon, Mallory, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a bunch and good luck with your lawsuit.
Well, Roland Martin Unfiltered will begin tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern, here on the Black Star Network. And next on The Breakdown, we're talking about mental health, self-care, and the importance of protecting your peace. A conversation with therapist Rolanda Jones from Energy Exchange Spa is next.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
For the culture, our next guest believes healing requires caring for both the mind, the body as well. Joining us now is Rolanda Jones. She's a therapist with Energy Exchange Spa. Welcome to The Breakdown. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you today?
I am well, Rolanda. Could you tell us more about the Energy Exchange Spa and your mission?
Sure. So I am with Energy Exchange Wellness Spa, which is a integrated wellness, emotional and mental health wellness program and practice that focuses on the whole body wellness.
Well, we would love to see you right now. Can you turn your camera on?
My camera is on. You can't see me.
Oh no, we can't see you. Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. We'll check it out for you.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads,
Let's go.
we show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together. We organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
They've been trying to erase black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warned could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution, and within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority black congressional district. Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase black political power, and we will not bow.
Well, Black girls deserve spaces where they can dream big, build confidence, and see themselves as leaders. Our next guest is making sure that they have exactly just that. Black Girls Can Incorporated is helping young women discover their potential and break through barriers. Joining us now is Kanisha Dennis, the founder of Black Girls Can Incorporated. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Brittany. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Kanisha, can you tell us a little bit more about Black Girls Can Incorporated? Why did you create it?
Absolutely. So Black Girls Can, its mission is to help foster the next generation of Black girl talent in the areas of STEAM. So that's science, tech, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And so our goal is to help girls not only dream big, but build big. And so the reason why I started Black Girls Can originally was because I was a substitute teacher when I first got out of undergrad. And while I was teaching, probably 2 blocks away from my childhood home, I realized that there were a ton of students that had potential, that had big dreams, but had limitations, whether it not be because of their home environment. They didn't necessarily see possibility within their home environment, their school environment, or a little bit outside their school environment in their communities. And so I got with friends friends from college. They worked in different spaces throughout the industry, entertainment, tech, arts, and all. And so they were doing really big things. And I wanted students to just see that so they can touch, feel, and immerse themselves in their dreams. And that started as a halftime thing I did on the side, project of mine. And it eventually turned into something that became this 501c organization, working with Fortune 500 organizations for 10 years and counting.
That's incredible. And your organization, it focuses on empowerment, leadership, and mentorship too?
Yeah, all of those things. We believe that in order to believe and see possibility, that you need to be in front of those that have charted that path a little bit before you. And so access to not only the places, the industry, but the people that are sitting in those seats and that have come before you and that look like you.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you have seen Black girls facing right now?
Self-esteem has been an ongoing issue with our girls. Right now, we are on a Pathway to Power suicide prevention tour. And so Yale School of Medicine, they did a study in 2024 where they captured some data that stated, Black and brown girls are attempting suicide at alarming rates. 10% suicide rates were up 10% compared to the last decade. And so for us, that meant we needed to spend time with our girls to let them know they are seen, they are heard, they are loved, they are cared for. And because of that information, because of that research, and not only that, we sit in these schools every day. We see these girls that, go unaddressed, go unnoticed, go silent. And so we have to ask ourselves why and spend some more time with them on why they're deciding to, make those decisions or those choices and why they feel that way. So it's definitely some of the work that we've been committing our lives to. And we've been on this tour now for the last 10 months, going across the nation, spending time in the schools, working on mental health practices. Some of those modalities include breath work, meditation, career enrichment and development, and mentorship, getting them in front of women that look just like them, that may have been through what they've been through or experienced, whether it be similar lived experiences from childhood that they may have had, and talking to them right where they are. And so that's some of the issues we've been seeing. I think particularly when it comes to public schools, that's where Black Girls Can's programming currently sits. Particularly with New York City public schools, we've seen an absentee rate increase. 30% absentee rate when it comes to students attending schools. They're not showing up to schools. And we know that's chronic due to family economic issues. So there are multiple issues that impact our girls that may not be their cause, but maybe due to their parents, due to their social economic environments that are affecting how they feel about themselves.
I want you to tell us more about some of these programs and these initiatives that you have and that you offer for Black girls.
Yeah. So one of our, I call it our signature program. So Black Girls Can Leadership Academy. It's a program that is an 8 to 12 week cohort in public schools. Right now they sit within NYC public schools, and we've done initiatives across the DMV area. Virginia mainly has been a particular focus for us. And so each of these instances, what it looks like is an 8 to 12 week cohort where we get girls to focus on sisterhood, meditation, well-being, and then STEAM simulation. So this means they get hands-on experiences working across different organizations. So we'll have partners like Microsoft, L'Oreal Cosmetics, NARS Cosmetics, Facebook. We'll work with them directly to go into their organizations, hear from their talent, their people, and then take advantage of a STEAM related activity, because it's not enough for our students to know about the particular function. It's more important to ensure that they can immerse themselves in it, touch and feel that experience. And then finally, we wrap up with career development and workforce development. So we are actively working to ensure students have the skills, they have the development that is needed for not only the workforce of today, but the workforce of 2040. So that is kind of what 8 to 12 weeks looks like with Black Girls Can. We have obviously licensed practitioners that come into the space alongside us to facilitate all of these programs. And we meet with the students 90 minutes out of the school day. So this takes place during the school day, and they get credit for being a part of the Black Girls Can cohort Leadership Academy.
Oh, that's incredible. Tell us how we can support you.
Yeah,
in this
sure.
organization.
A number of ways to support the organization. Right now, the biggest way I'd say to help us is to volunteer, get involved with an organization that is has boots on the ground in the communities, where we sit within New York City, but we have active chapters throughout the United States, particularly within the DMV area. So please join us and volunteer to be a part of the organization. You can actually sign up to facilitate a workshop if that is something that you're interested in doing. If you have a resource, we like to say we are our biggest resource. So when community leaders come in and say they want to help with the organization, you can sign up to be a facilitator in that way. And then I'd say donate to the organization. Right now, we are on a Pathway to Power suicide prevention tour, actively going into the schools and communities across the US. And so we could use your support to help us get us through all 10 cities that we're actively working with now. So you can go to blackgirlscaninc.org. Again, it's blackgirlscaninc.org to learn more, get involved, and tell other girls about it. Sign up. It's a free program for them. So we'd love to have our girls invested in. So those are some of the ways you can get involved with Black Girls Can.
Okay. And you're looking for sponsors as well too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take them.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today. We thank you for the work that you are doing with Black Girls Can Incorporated. Thank you so much. And we hope that maybe we'll see you again on The Breakdown.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for having me. Incredible work that you all are doing. So thank you for the exposure and spotlight on our work.
You're welcome. Kanisha Dennis, founder of Black Girls Can Incorporated. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
All right, folks, we still have another interview ahead. As we told you about a little bit earlier, we will be joined with therapist Rolanda Jones from Energy Exchange Spa. Stay with us. She'll be up right after the break.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Thanks for staying with us on The Breakdown. And for the culture, our next guest believes healing requires caring for both the mind and body. Joining us now, Rolanda Jones, a therapist with Energy Exchange Spa. We can see you now. Can we hear you too?
Yes. Perfect. I am so sorry about the technical challenges. I kind of got invited last minute, and so I am trying to work it out the best that I can today.
Well, we appreciate you making it happen, Rolanda. Can you tell us a little bit more about your mission with the Energy Exchange Spa?
Yes, thank you. So Energy Exchange Wellness is about the mission is to support the whole person. So we are committed to helping individuals reconnect and align to their authentic selves with purpose and with peace, and looking at the whole self. So we're looking at body, mind, spirit, and environment as we are creating an opportunity for connecting to wellness.
Are you seeing some of those challenges, common challenges with people right now?
Yes. So with all the busyness of life is just busy for everyone, needing to work, needing to care for families, needing to go to school, and trying to be competitive in all the different spaces that people are in. People get disconnected and are not aligned to their true core purpose. So yes, we see that it creates quite a bit of a disconnect from purpose and goals, and they get into the rat race of just staying busy. And yeah, it impacts the whole mental health and emotional wellness of a person, which kind of trickles down to families, and then kind of moves out to families and then communities.
Many people are carrying all of that stress from work, right? That you're talking about, those responsibilities, those finances. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it shows up in like our body? Physically and emotionally?
Yeah, so physically you would notice when there's disconnection or when things are not aligned. You'll see the physical symptoms of health issues like high blood pressure and stress related issues like headaches and migraines. Maybe some stiffness, and your body holds on to things, so you may notice pains and aches that are unusual or just out of nowhere, difficulty sleeping, maybe some appetite changes, maybe an increased appetite, a decrease in appetite. It would also show up in areas of just being able to be present and focused, and the concentration. These are some of the physical manifestations of misalignment.
Why is it important to pay attention to those warning signs of burnout?
Yeah, so it's important to pay attention to those warning signs because when a person is operating from a burnout space, you're not operating at your highest and best self. There's a lot of you mentioned you asked about emotional signs as well. There's a lot of things related to maybe anxiety, feeling like you can't get out of this worry mindset. It's important to pay attention to these things because you're just not operating at your whole and best self. And when you're not operating in your best space, then it's a lot of dissatisfaction in life, period. But then that looks like dissatisfaction in relationships, that looks like dissatisfaction in your job, that looks like dissatisfaction in your roles in your family. And that doesn't allow for a person to have the joy of life, which we're all here looking for joy in life.
What are some practical ways that we can begin prioritizing our wellness and finding that joy?
Some practical ways of prioritizing wellness is one, the most important way is to take a moment to focus on your needs. So that may look like just 5 minutes a day, just sitting with yourself, taking a deep breath and saying, what do I need right now? Maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need a hug. Maybe you need to talk to someone. Maybe you need to kind of write down your goals and create a plan for what comes next because your mind is all frazzled with trying to keep everything in your head. So some practical ways include just taking a moment and really checking in with yourself to say, what do I need?
And for someone who has never worked with a therapist before, what's something you really want them to know?
I want people to know that their support, one, therapy is a good place to start. But even if you don't ever get through the doors of a office, a therapeutic office, seek out support within your families, within your communities. There is support. Speaking, saying aloud, I need help, I need support. I may not know exactly what I need in this moment, but I know that I need something. Just saying it out loud. So your community, your families, your friends, your loved ones can help you through those tough situations.
All right. Well, tell us how we can connect with you so you can maybe help us walk through some of those tough situations.
Sure. I would love for you guys to connect. So there's one thing that I have going on right now, a program that I have going on right now called the Reset. It's a 30-day alignment experience where for 30 consecutive days, we are talking about aligning to your physical body, your mental and emotional spaces, spiritual spaces, and the environmental changes, shifting and aligning into those spaces. So with the Reset, again, 30 days, you have daily contact with me. Daily contact. It is journal led. So for 30 days, you will get journal prompts, and I am connected with you for 30 consecutive days. There's a lot of shifts that happen during this experience. You can reach me at energyexchangewellness.com. And I am happy to support you in moving into a space of wholeness and wellness.
Rolanda Jones, thank you for joining us from Energy Exchange Wellness. We appreciate you so much here on The Breakdown.
Thank you. I appreciate the time here too.
All right, folks, that will do it for us today on The Breakdown. Thank you for supporting the Black Star Network. We will see you again tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. Also, Roland Martin Unfiltered begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. Have a great day.